Now, with traffic congestion, high fuel prices, paying for parking, many Kiwis, of course, embrace two wheels. I'm not just talking bicycles, but e-bikes and, of course, e-scooters. In Auckland, e-scooters are everywhere, and I'm sure it's the same in many cities and towns around New Zealand. But there is a call now from those in the industry that claim NZTA's regulations are outdated, confusing and ideological, leaving the owners of more powerful e-scooters and e-bikes with no option but to ride them illegally. When e-scooters first came to our shores, they were a little more than a low-powered toy. As such, they were allowed on footpaths, shared paths, and roads, and their riders didn't need to wear helmets by law. However, as the regulations stand, any e-scooter over 300 watts in power can only be used on private property and not used on our roads or cycle lanes. Now, that's undoubtedly news to thousands of owners and commuters who regularly use roads and cycleways each day, whizzing along on e-transport, well over 300 watts. And under another nonsensical restriction, no e-scooter is allowed on designated cycleways, no matter what their power output. Again, I'm sure this is news to many. In theory, e-bikes above 300 watts are classified as mopeds and must be registered for road use. Confused? We all are. NZ Transport Agencies themselves has not made it clearer. They haven't updated regulations, nor it seems is anything done as police riders using these powerful e-scooters on roads and on footpaths or illegally in the cycling lanes. Living Street spokesperson is Dr. Chris Teo-Sherrell, who joins me now. Chris, good afternoon.
Hi, Leah. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I tell you what, I'm not an e-scooter rider, but I thought, this surprised me, I thought you were allowed in cycle lanes. And I thought
it would make sense, wouldn't it? It would make so much sense. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Yeah, aren't scooters, with wheels, and they can go sort of 25, 35, 45 kilometres per hour, aren't they much more like bicycles than they are like pedestrians?
Yes.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
that's how we kind of see it, and therefore, shouldn't they be sharing space with other similar devices going similar speeds rather than with pedestrians?
Yeah, I've had...
That's the logic we use.
I think so too, because, there's been quite a few times when I've been out walking, the weekend or walking the dog, and an e-scooter's gone by pretty bloody fast, and I've had a moment where I thought, gosh, if I'd turned or the dog had gone out, there could have been a collision. Luckily, it hasn't happened. So what would you like to see?
Yep, some modification to the rules would be a great idea, and NZTA did promise us after, this was last September, October, when they renewed the Gazette notice, and the Gazette notice was what? It declared e-scooters not to be motor vehicles. And as a result of that, they didn't have to be licensed. They didn't have to meet the safety regulations of a motor vehicle, and they could be used on footpaths. So anyway, that's they renewed it exactly as they had it the first time round. Right. But they said to us, we will be reviewing and hopefully improving the regulations. But we are still waiting for any progress on that, and it's now 6-7 months later.
So I see that the AA, Automobile Association, has also called on NZTA. They want to sort out the issue as well. They want to see mandatory helmet wearing introduced, more rigorous restrictions around the sale and use of powerful e-scooters. I gather you would be backing that as well?
Look, it makes sense, but we are a pedestrian advocacy organisation, and what riders choose to do, we don't want them to get hurt. We want everybody to be safe on the road, and it would seem that going at that speed on small-wheeled devices, which can easily be, you can be thrown off by hitting a bad bump or something, a helmet kind of seems sensible, but that's up to riders at the moment, and that's not really Living Street's primary concern.
No. So if we can get them off the footpaths, and then ideally you'd want them where available in the cycleway.
Yep, where there's cycle lanes or cycle paths to be there, and where there's not, but the speed limit is probably 30 kilometres or less, then just to share the road with other vehicles, because at 30 kilometres per hour, there sometimes still are crashes, but the severity of them is much reduced. And on higher speed roads, maybe they just shouldn't be there. Maybe if there's no facility for them, then they shouldn't be there. But there should be facilities for them.